That should be the way you think, because at the end of the day, it's competition. But leading up to that competition, if you are that selfish that the only thing on your mind is whether or not you're going to win or lose, then you're not going to be a benefit to the sport as a whole from an organizational point of view. I'm not saying you don't have a place in the sport. I'm not that much of I'm going to leave that word out, ignorant person that I'm going to tell you to go home and not come back. But if you can't see past winning or losing on tournament day to see what is truly best for the sport and the growth of the sport, then you need to go home and worry about yourself. Let other people worry about growing the sport. And unfortunately, that means a smaller number of people are going to shoulder the burden for taking things further. You see it all the time. Doesn't matter if it's fishing. I've seen it in other organizations I've been involved with as well, that 100% of the people want to reap the rewards, but you're lucky if 5 to 10% of the people are willing to do the work. It's not fair. Quite frankly, to be blunt, it sucks. But it's the way things go. Within the NBSFA, we have some amazing people that work behind the scenes. For those of you that don't know the NBSFA, right off the top of your head, it's the New Brunswick Sport Fishing Association. It's the association that I'm on the board of directors of, and that the series that I compete in. We have some amazing people working behind the scenes, securing sponsors and businesses and volunteers. It's all there, and it is a great thing. But unfortunately, the number is way too small. If every person involved would get out, we all know people in different industries. We all know people from different walks of life. Think of what would happen potentially to the sponsorship of your own personal club or your own series if every person in your association, in your group, took it upon themselves to secure just one sponsor, whether it be for the entire series or for an individual event. What would take place? How much would your sponsorship grow? But unfortunately, that doesn't happen. So once again, it comes back onto the shoulders of the executives, the boards of directors, whatever the case may be. And they do a lot. But unfortunately, there's always more that can be done, that should be done, because if we sit on our hands and do nothing as anglers, do nothing as associations, as clubs, as tournament series, then our sport will die. And I'm sorry, we'll always be able to fish. I'll always be able to dump the boat in the water on a Saturday and grab my young fella and say, come on, let's go. But I like competing. That's why in only my second year with the New Brunswick Sport Fishing Association, I have agreed to go on the board of directors, because I like the competition. I want to see things thrive. I want to see things grow. So I want to make sure that my voice is heard, so that my association can do everything in their power, its power, to promote the sport of bass fishing, tournament fishing specifically. Because not only do we need a voice with anglers, we need a voice with our governments, within business communities, and us as individual anglers. We can go so far with people we know and friends that we've made. But those voices that truly need to be heard at higher levels. To go to a Department of Tourism and say, hey, we need this. We need some government money to make this possible. We have such and such a series that's willing to come here, but they want to know that there's X amount of money for an advertising budget. Well, hey, we're a nonprofit organization. We don't have unlimited funds laying around. This is going to bring people. I'll use New Brunswick as an example because that's where I am. We're in New Brunswick. We're going to bring people from Nova Scotia. We're going to bring people from Quebec. We're going to bring people from Ontario. They're going to come fish here. They're going to come stay in hotels here. They're going to come eat at restaurants here. You know, there's going to be TV crews come here. They're going to video, you know, they're going to record this. It's going to be broadcast on this show or that show or online on this website or that website, which is seen by this many thousands of people. Get them involved. And that's where your club, the executives, the boards of directors come into play. Because I can call up my local politicians, and I know a few. I can call them up and say, hey, I want to do this. Me, little old me as an individual. I want to do this. I want tourism money. I'm not saying that it's not an impossible negotiation to have, but there's a whole lot more clout behind it if I can say we, the New Brunswick Sport Fishing Association, a 20-year non-profit, you know, a 20-year fixture in the province of New Brunswick, wants to do this, and we want some help promoting it. It's all part and parcel of growing the sport. It's all got to come in there. And we truly owe it to ourselves as anglers to make sure that our groups, our organizations are doing this. We can sit back and have all kinds of fun and do exactly what we've done for years. And yeah, you'll carry on, but there's got to be an incentive to grow. And seeing young competitive anglers like the Johnston brothers, like Gussie, like Curtis Richards, competing at a high level full-time in the U.S., lights a fire under Canadian anglers. And see gentlemen like Charles, who, I'm sorry, class act Charles Sim, watching him at the Classic. Class act. We couldn't have asked for a better Canadian representative. But seeing him, you know, Charles, if you hear this, no offense, but you're not 20 years old. You're not a quote-unquote young gun coming up into bass fishing. Charles has had an opportunity to live a lifelong dream. And I have a feeling we'll see him there again. He's that good, folks. He will be, you know, I predict he will be there again. But seeing these anglers say, hey, just because our lakes and our rivers are frozen for half the year doesn't mean that we can't have a shot at going further, at doing more. You know, have a shot at making bass fishing a reality for some of us. It won't happen to all. You know, and I'm not sitting here telling you that it's going to happen for me or it's going to even happen necessarily for anybody I know. I hope it does, because I know some damn good anglers. But I would love to see more and more Canadians find their way to the higher levels of this sport. But if we don't start promoting it at the local level and growing it at the local level, then it's not, those opportunities are not going to present themselves. You know, the FLW Canada is a great start. It's a great foot in the door to introduce more Canadian anglers to a higher level of fishing. And it also opens the door for them to go on to one of the biggest events, bass fishing events in the world. The Canadian Championship, with the birth to the Forest Wood Cup, is a phenomenal opportunity for a Canadian angler, because now here in Canada we have a direct route to the FLW, to the Forest Wood Cup. Capitalize on that. You know, I've spoken with representatives from the FLW Canada to see, you know, what their thoughts are expansion-wise. And I'm not going to go into any specifics because quite frankly, there's nothing even tentative right now. It was just a conversation. But I can tell you from that conversation that growing is definitely something of interest. Expanding into other jurisdictions. Right now it's Ontario-centered. And it's hard for a New Brunswick angler like me, who still has to work a full-time job, to make that commitment to go up to Ontario for, a week at a time, for practice time, to learn a body of water, because I've never fished Ontario before. You might as well put a blindfold on me and turn me loose on one of my own home bodies of water. I'd be just as effective. I don't have a clue where I'm going. So, why not strike while the iron's hot? Bass fishing is hot. Bass fishing is growing in profile, and we have an unbelievable contingent of Canadian anglers that are helping lead that charge. So I'm not saying to go to your membership if you are a part of an executive, or if you're a member. I'm not saying go to your executive and be jerks about it and say, we have to do this, and slam your fist on a table and say, do this or else, do this or else. This isn't a popularity contest. This isn't a dictatorship. It still has to be what's in the best interest of the association and the jurisdiction. But I don't think we're doing ourselves any favors if we don't investigate further as to what opportunities are out there. That's all I'm saying. And make sure that somebody in your club, in your group, in your jurisdiction is doing that investigation. I want to see this sport be even bigger. I want to see, online or in person, whatever I have the opportunity to do. I want to see tournaments here in New Brunswick or in other jurisdictions across the country that 100 boats in a field is, that's old hat. That happens all the time. Now our target's 150. Or now our target's 200. That's what we should be striving for, is more and more. Don't rest on the status quo. What's been done for years isn't always good enough. It may have been good at the time. It may have been good 20 years ago. Doesn't mean it's right for today. Hopefully I've inspired some ideas. Hopefully I've put some thoughts in people's minds. I can guarantee, folks, that I do have some thoughts in my mind, and I can guarantee, and anybody who knows me knows, that I'm not resting on my laurels. I practice what I preach. So if I'm telling you to strive for more, and if you ever see my wife, you can ask her, because she knows better than anybody that I'm not done yet, folks. I'm striving for more. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I have rambled for almost a half hour on one subject. I hope there's nobody snoring. As you can kind of guess, I do get a little bit passionate, and sometimes I get wrapped up and distracted. I did have another subject I was going to talk about this week, but apparently I had my mouth in gear and I filled my half-hour time slot. So I want to thank you all for listening. I really enjoyed doing this, so I really hope it's something I can continue doing for an extended period of time. I love the feedback I've gotten. I love seeing my listen counter climb every week. I really can't thank you all enough. Before I run out of time and get cut off, once again, thanks to Fish Bum Outfitters, Southern Yankee Baits, War Dog Lures, Northern Michigan Outfitters, my beautiful wife, and my amazing son. And don't forget, folks, coming up on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of April, come see us at the Moncton Coliseum for the New Brunswick Sportsman Show. The New Brunswick Sport Fishing Association will have a booth there. Friday afternoon, we have our defending champs. All weekend long, we'll have some tips and advice. We're not selling you anything on site. We can give you some more information and give you some tips and tricks that you can try this year on the water. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am Donald Patterson. This is NB Bassin.